You can tell our friends, and they can have my things when we're dead. But we gonna live forever. We gonna live forever.
And we are back. The much anticipated. So I got sent 4 or 5 different pegging articles.
By your girlfriend? Ryan's girlfriend goes, hey, Brian, I think we need to do some pegging.
Hey, I've been talking to Danny and he's been doing this. And I was wondering if that's something that you're into, because I know you guys. I'm not sure if you've been hanging around him and he's trying. I'm just telling you that I'm not
just
interested.
all the benefits of pegging. I'm like one of those new age people with like fucking organic food, but it's just me with pegging.
But before that, I did want to say that I have, there's 5 different weekends coming up. Virginia Beach, St. Louis, New York, which is going to be weekend at Caroline's, Kansas City, and Naples, RyanLongComedy.com for tickets. But before it goes to the pegging article, which is much anticipated. Everyone's been asking for it. The news articles have been.
Ryan's been asking for it specifically.
Most of the pegging articles I looked up were just like, when's the Boyscast doing this article? When will the Boyscast be responding?
You got sent this specific article by multiple people, or
I got sent this one a couple times. It's sort of the big boy.
This is the big boy.
But if you go back, so a lot of these places like Vice, you go back and they have like 9,000 articles on pegging, right? And some of them are probably the best ones were like titles that aren't that funny, but the title will be like, is Sugar Ray Lennon's
Sugar Ray Lennon.
Sugar Ray Lennon, Sugar Ray Stalin, I believe is the name. But what's his big song like? Every morning there's a halo, and they're like, is that about pegging?
Right.
And then if you look at it, what's the halo? But it's a halo of poo, I guess.
Galo.
But before that, I was gonna say Miami. We've been getting rinsed right and left. So there's a new scam that's been going on in Miami so basically what the places do, they say the gratuity's included.
Yeah.
And they
so you know, whenever we've been out, I have my eye on this. We haven't been rinsed together. You probably get rinsed all the time on this.
I feel like I've been probably scammed on this 35 times.
Oh yeah. And the thing is, it's not consistent. Like if you go to places in Europe, like they'll be like, that's just the standard. They auto grat. So what Ryan's talking about is they put an auto tip on, but not for huge parties. Like there's just 2 of you and they go, it's an auto tip.
Okay. If they put an auto tip on, I go, okay, whatever. You put an auto tip on.
Yeah.
Whatever. And you're not getting a penny more, a penny less now.
No.
Fine.
It's a risk they take because they're like, well, you might have got more. They wouldn't have, but they might have.
But that's not the issue. The issue is they put the auto gratuity in the first bill. Mm-hmm. So you got to be like, oh, they're paying. But then the second bill says no tip included.
Yeah. And it says, and then no. So yeah. And then it basically says here, and it gives you the percentages. So you don't have to figure it out to basically like double tip. Like it'd be like,
they want you to double
15% this much, 18% this much, 20% this much or whatever. And you're like,
it's one of the biggest scams I've ever heard. So you go, okay, so I tipped. And then I literally asked the girl, it's like, she feels like she got busted on something.
I know.
I go,
and she goes, oh, no.
Yeah. I go, hey, is there a tip included? Cause it says no tip included. And she goes, yeah, it's included. It's like, I go, why would you not put that on there?
Last time I was here, I learned from locals, they go, Miami's a big scam city. A lot of people trying to rent it.
Well, that's the other scam. Well, I guess you could say, I mean, you're not going to see this on your fucking feminist blogs, but every single place is girls pay half.
Yeah.
So I pay full. Danny's half price walking around.
Fuck, I wish. I put on a wig to fucking pay half.
But they basically, that's one thing the girls were talking about, where to go and stuff. And they're saying this place is half. And I did the meme where it's girlfriends, club owners, boyfriends paying more. Me and Danny paying more.
Yeah.
The one thing everyone agrees on.
Double rinsed.
And then there was a few months. Okay, we would talk about that stuff a bit, because then we went to basically a club, and then I go outside and I sit on the Mercedes for like 2 fucking seconds.
Yeah.
And everyone's sort of there. It's in the parking lot. So I'm against this Mercedes. And then I get up, the tags broken.
Yeah, Ryan broke the
allegedly. Maybe I did, maybe I didn't.
You did.
There's no proof of that though. That's
no, there's no proof. Also, this is a totally illegal thing we're at.
We're at an illegal party.
Illegal, like, warehouse
and this guy's parked
rave.
Essentially in the fucking warehouse.
Yeah. He thought he was slick too, because he's like, I'm gonna get the like valet parking at the rave thing, which is like, why'd you even drive there?
That used to be a huge move when I was a kid, like people stealing the Mercedes pendants and wearing them as necklaces.
Oh, of course.
So then the guy comes up to me and he goes, oh, you can't leave. Like, we're going to make you pay. I go, and I'm kind of like, yeah, we're leaving. Danny takes off like a fucking bat out of hell. I've never seen any. He's gone. Bat out of hell. And then the guy goes, he's like putting his arms around me like, you can't go. And I'm like, dude, I'm leaving. And he's like, no. I'm like, oh, okay. So now I can't fight a bouncer. Danny's long gone. He's already in an Uber.
I'm already in an Uber.
And then I go, walk me through this. What do you think's going to happen right now? I go, what do you think's going to happen? You're going to bring the boss out and then you have no cameras here. There's no proof that I did it. I go, I'm going to say I didn't do it. And even if I did do it, which I didn't, I go, you're going to bring the car owner and then what? He's going to take my information? Then what? Sue me? You think I'm going to walk to the debit? What do you think's going to happen?
You're not
right
calling
now?
the police. You can't call the police.
But this guy has like first day energy where he's like, I just feel like I should be holding you. And I'm just talking. He's not even listening.
Had the ponytail with the undercut, like that look, that security, like undercut.
Yeah, he had the whole,
vibe.
and my energy was sort of, I wish a motherfucker would call the manager so I can continue.
Ryan's like, I'd like to talk to you about the price of these drinks.
Yeah, I was in Karen
Well, we
mode.
got the manager here. The drinks are fucking $25.
That's the thing. I was sort of in Karen mode, and I'm just like, okay. So then eventually he's standing there, and then someone else, he gets a call on his walkie-talkie, like, we got a fight on our hands. Yeah. And I go, so what, were you going to stand with me for 2 straight hours? And the guy takes off, and I get over there, and Danny's crying in the ditch, like, did he get you?
Are you okay? No, I came back at the end.
Okay, so this article is called, Here Are the Reasons You Need to Add Pegging to Your Relationship. And this is like the bare bones, if you're not even into it. And she says, what if I told you that you could easily have the most intense toe-curdling orgasm of your life? The only thing is, you have to put something in your butt. The whole thing's pretty like...
Wait, is this an ad? This sounds like a scammy ad.
Yeah, it really does.
This sounds like the copy for like, that ad where it's like a finger with Vaseline on it? That thing? And you go, what am I looking at right here?
It's a sort of a Sophie's Choice a little bit too, where they go, you have red button is the most toe-curdling orgasm. Have you ever even... It's always sort of like the girl thing too, where... they sort of, how girls sometimes it's all like,
Totally.
Have you ever been that where you're having sex and you go,
I turn into Arnie sometimes.
How many comics have that joke? I'm like Arnold when I come. I'm like Arnold when I come. Danny DeVito. But yeah, you go, because you go,
it's not a tumor.
No, they're all basically the same deal. I mean, not exactly the same, but that's the girl thing.
Honestly, you want to know something funny, actually? It's like, so I've never had a toe curdling orgasm, but I have recently. This is like kind of funny, but like I've started getting headaches.
During
like right as I'm about to come, I should get like a migraine.
That's the most old man shit ever.
I literally was like, oh, I'm getting old. Like I literally.
So you're about to finish,
and then I just get this fucking migraine like as I'm finishing. It's only happened like a couple times, but it's only since we've been on this trip.
Do you think that's your brain saying
since we've been on this trip, since I've been in Miami?
You want to be with guys and
maybe it's like God is like smiting me for fucking this like not being a homosexual. It doesn't seem like something he would do, but dude, the first time I got it, I go, oh, like, cause you hear about people just die during sex or whatever, and I was like, oh, did I just have like a brain aneurysm?
Mine girls usually die after sex. You know what I mean?
Yeah, so they can't rat. No, but I was like, am I having a brain aneurysm right now?
So she says, calling everyone who identifies as a man. Don't let preconceived gender norms impede a good time. Also, you know how there's that theory, like they want to put a black man in a dress always to sort of like to emasculate them. Mm-hmm. It's almost kind of that now where it's like they want every guy to be emasculated so then they can sort of prove them right, where they go, look, we're exactly the same. You know what I mean? It's like this push where they go, every guy needs to like take stuff in his butt, blah, blah, blah. And then they go, oh, if we're not exactly the same, then why are all these guys getting fucked?
Right. I love that girl be like, so do you like anal? She goes, not a huge fan, but you definitely should take
you should definitely take a peek at it. They go, think of me as your sexual fairy godmother. I've done a lot, maybe too much, so this woman's very sexual, of what some may consider unconventional sex acts. Knife play, BDSM, butt plugs, roadhead, which sort of...
Roadhead and knife play? I love how those are in the same combination. You go, hey, baby, you want to give me a roadhead? Or, I could just put a knife up to your neck while I fuck you.
You combine the two.
While I simulate a rape.
I had a girl that I used to date that they used to be into me trying to like... rape her, are her. So you'd be like doing stuff, and she'd be like, yeah, and then she'd pretend like she didn't want it, like she did the first date actually. No, but then she like liked it. So then she started to be like always wanting to do that. And I go, so what? Every time I have sex with you, you're pretending that like you don't want to. And then I remember sometimes in the morning, I remember I put my foot down where it's in the morning, and then she would sort of grab me, and then she would like be like, then push me off her. And I go, okay, I'm not, it's like 9 a.m. I'm not raping someone for for your like gimmick.
Just so you could get off. You know, they're like talking. I think I read where like in Australia or something, they were talking about like consent passport, like an app. You know, they talked about before, where it's like an app where you have to give consent, and then like that'll just like those girls, like it's over for them, because even if you're like, okay, just do consent in the app, and then we'll pretend rape, and she goes, well, but if I do consent in the app, then
it won't work.
She goes, my brain, like I can't just forget that I gave consent.
They have to
app.
sort of give the consent like a week before or something.
Yeah, way in advance.
Like you consent to, maybe you consent to like a random time in the future if you're like that.
Yeah. Yeah, fucking complicated app.
For men, it unlocks a mind-boggling level of pleasure that you haven't discovered before. Would you like to unlock that, Danny? So when a woman pegs her male partner, she's hitting the P spot over and over, and that's what they.
What's that? The prostate?
So the.
What is he doing? He's just jerking off?
No. You just take it. Like you're on the bed. I mean,
but
maybe you have the knife
nothing's
on your
going
neck.
on for the D.
That's the thing. They're basically saying you should just be a gay guy.
Yeah.
Like you're on all fours and you're getting this
But
mind-boggling
no reach around or
orgasm
anything?
allegedly from her smashing your P spot with a.
But you're not even getting
dildo.
a reach around or anything?
How would she reach around? Her arms aren't long.
Maybe you fucking did a little Stretch Armstrong or something.
On the other hand, it's about the mental aspects of women. Julie Margot, COO, so they're saying women might enjoy this too, explains that women get psychologically aroused from the power exchange. It's like a whole new sense of dominance that the normal positions can't give. So you're basically...
COO of what?
She's just... Yeah, that's she's a COO of Hot Octopus is what it's called.
Okay.
So basically how it works, for anyone who's wondering, you're on the bed, all fours, and then you're on the bed, all fours. She's got a dildo on, which is empowering her, and she's saying, I'm the queen of the world.
Think any dudes are like, you know what? I want to get pegged, but I want to be on my back.
Yeah, that's for sure.
Yeah.
But that is like, I'm sure gay guys do it like that.
For sure. I mean, I've had, fun with a girl like that.
The Freudian.
Where she pegged me like that.
Well, first things first, it takes time to prepare to do anal. Before you ever even think about having the sex, you basically have to have the anal talk. So now what's that? It's a conversation you need to have beforehand. What did you eat? And you're like, I had fucking so much beans last night.
Spicy food.
I assume that's what the anal talk is.
Yeah, the anal talk. He goes, there's going to be shit everywhere. What are your thoughts on that? I'm not a huge fan.
Yeah, she walks in with the pegging thing. Do you want to do the anal talk? Yeah, let's do it. You want to do the anal talk? Create a sexy environment. Feel free to break out the wine. Throw rose petals on the
Who's throwing? How emasculating do they need it to be? So the chick's throwing rose petals on the bed before she fucks you in the ass? Like, imagine the dude's like, why do I need rose petals? Like if we're gonna do this, like, why do I need the rose petals, and why does she need the rose petals? This isn't a rose petal kind of thing.
You come home, you think she's cheating on you. Like, why is there rose petals and everything all over your bed?
Goes, open up that fucking ass. What?
Bend the fuck over. Throw rose petals on the bed and do display to your and then do foreplay to your heart's content. All of this stuff is just so now. Look, so basically, she's like, if you're a guy that likes getting fucked in the ass, this is how it works. We have like a romantic evening with wine, rose petals, and then we do foreplay for 45 minutes, and then I fuck. You're like, so you took away the one part I do like, and then you added, so you replaced the part that I like with me being fucked in the ass.
Yeah, exactly.
But maybe you have an expensive dinner. Maybe they take.
Maybe you have an expensive dinner you pay for.
Maybe the man's in lingerie.
That's really emasculating. Maybe you hook up his balls to a fucking car battery. Who knows?
So you come home. There's rose petals on the bed. You have a glass of wine. You eat her out for a while, and then you put the
it's just you eating her out.
That's the foreplay. You put. which by their calculations will get your ass nice and wet for them.
That's how biology works, right?
That's so funny. The idea of like, is your ass getting wet, but you're not touching them. And you're just like, oh, I'm so wet right now. What?
It's like what? You're like, oh.
Did you hear when we had the anal talk?
Yeah,
I'm so fucking wet right now. What? My asshole's dripping. I'm dripping wet. Anal squirting. Okay. And then give reassuring compliments. This is what they're saying it is. Give reassuring compliments. Tell them you love them and respect them.
Wait, the woman's saying this to the guy as she's pegging him? Be like, I respect you.
Because she's saying, his fragile masculinity won't be able to take the
But like
pegging.
as she's like feeding it to you, she's like, bite down on this ruler.
I respect you.
I respect you.
Imagine.
I love you.
So you basically have your legs behind your head, and then she's fucking. She goes, "I love and respect you."
That would always be worse than not. Like, if anything, that's what you're doing. Like, you probably want to be like degraded a bit if you're that guy. So
if you're that guy,
don't tell me you're respecting me. If anything, tell me like this disgusts you.
I agree.
Yeah,
if you're that guy.
Yeah, you're like this disgusts me that you're like this, but I'll do it because
they're trying to make it is really that thing where they're just like, what if we just because you basically. Or like, there's no such thing in girls and guys. That's the hypothesis that they have essentially, or then they're trying to make come true and work backwards. So they're like, we either make girls like guys or guys like girls, or what if we just fucking make we try to make a mixture of the two,
hybrid.
where it's like, we know you're still a man, you still respect you,
yeah,
with
you're
your
still a
legs
man.
behind
I mean,
your head,
obviously,
lingerie, rose petals on the bed.
If your boys found out about any of this, they probably you wouldn't have any friends anymore. But you're still a man.
Do you as it was the fact that they think you'd want that too? It's kind of like you're sort of on all fours, like, ugh, and then you kind of look back, like, do you respect me? You respect me, right?
You respect me, right? It hurts so much.
You respect me, right?
So painful.
Okay, this is what they said. They go, kiss them, caress them, and make them feel like a king.
Definitely caress them. Definitely the back of your hand against their cheek, gently as you're.
So it says, make them feel like a king. That's, I think, like King of England.
Just taking it in the ass like the King of England, like the saying. Just like the saying. You got fucked in the ass like the King of England.
So you're you're on all fours now. Rose petals. She's saying that she respects you. Like, because you're a king.
The respecting part is the best.
Go on, king.
Go on, king. You go, it's mostly something you're doing. I'm just going to sit here and take it.
You're a king. You're a fucking king, dude. You have a crown on? Yeah. Why are you wearing the crown?
Yeah, she puts the crown on you.
Oh, shit. So, yeah, she wants you're getting caressed, like, shh.
Yeah.
That's the time where you should be like, can we pull that consent thing back out again?
I don't...
And
midway through being like, I'm good. Can I fuck you in the ass now? Go,
shh. You're a king. You're a fucking god, dude.
Let me finish. You go, what dictates you finishing? What constitutes you being done? It's just when you just had enough.
When you cry?
When your hips are tired? I cry or your hips are worn out? Like,
if she gets a bad hip.
Yeah, exactly. She's like, I'm going to cramp in my hip.
Oh, fuck. This is kind of there's a boring part that like right before this, so I don't want to read the whole package. But they basically, she says, she's going on about how to hit the P spot. And she's like, so what you do is when you're in there, you'll be able to see you'll be able to feel like a little bump. And that's where you want to see. But you're like, she's talking about feel with the dildo.
Oh, yeah, exactly. Feel with what?
So you want the girls to feel around with it. You become
it's not like hitting a pothole in a car where you're like chonk chonk. You're like, oh, there it is. What are you talking about?
Oh, there it is. And if there was that, she's just fucking drilling it. But that is very true, though. What constitutes her? Well, I will say she's not finishing. She's saying you're the king's finishing.
Yeah, the king's finishing. So she goes, are you done yet? You go, you haven't touched my cock.
The king has come.
Yeah, the king.
But it's the
king has come.
I'm coming out of my ass. And then she says, so she's saying about when she did it, she says, what was it like for me? Awesome. She liked it. I heard noises coming from him that I've never heard before. So she was doing this with a guy, which made me feel like a goddess. So she's
he had a piece of duct tape over his mouth and a knife to his throat, so it was hard to do.
Noises like
that.
What What kind of guy ever? But I mean, I guess if I was being like fucking literally just drilled in the ass and wearing lingerie, I think there is some extent where I might be making some strange noises.
Yeah.
And she's interpreting.
I mean,
that
if you're,
as
I guess if the guys who are into that are just like
a
they're in
shriek,
ecstasy.
maybe some sort of a shriek.
They're in that. These guys are in ecstasy. I mean, imagine if you've been pegged, you're like you're shoving shit up your ass on a pretty regular basis.
That's the thing. She's probably because this girl's like, the guy's all, I've never done, is that a dildo?
What's that? He goes, is that a dildo? It's kind of small.
Yeah, he's like looking at her every time she leaves. You take her computer and look up all the pegging stuff, so it shows up in her browser.
Yeah, okay, totally.
You mess with her internet browser history, so she only gets pegging stuff. Oh my God. And so she feels like a goddess now. Well, one of you, it's either you're the king or she's the goddess. Well, or I guess goddess is higher.
You're both goddesses.
But goddess is higher. She's like, but you're both good, but you're a king. And you're like,
king.
What's higher than a king is a goddess.
Yeah.
I have to say, if I'm lying in rose petals, I don't know how.
Is there any reference?
The very most appraised
of this, I don't want to skip ahead, but is there any reference of the feces or the smell at any point?
No, because when she said the pee talk, or that we need to have the anal talk,
that's just,
she was talking about, should we do this?
Right.
It's the equivalent.
But like, is she like, hey, so here's like the cons of this. It's going to smell like shit.
Yes, well, that's the thing. I think if you're a gay dude, you gotta fucking, essentially give yourself an enema every time you go to the club.
Yeah, yeah.
That would be but I honestly thought when she was like, you need to have the anal talk, I thought for sure what she meant was,
you go do this enema.
Hey, before we do this, like just make sure you like clean yourself out.
Right,
I'd be like, this conversation is enough that I'm already out.
Yeah, I'm good.
But yeah, so they don't mention anything about the poo, which would get all over the rose petals.
Maybe that's what they're for, is to clean up.
And the rose petals are sort of absorb the feces.
Yeah, the feces, yeah. You can make a little paper mache out of
that being said, it is a king's shit.
King shit.
So maybe the servants will clean that up. Mm-hmm. The King of England. And she said, pegging is what your relationship needs because it gives a new sense of trust while keeping your sex life spicy. It does probably give a sense of trust, in the sense that you'd have to have a lot of trust that she's not going to tell anyone this.
Oh, that's a big one. Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, that's the
what happened to the good old days when you just fell blindly backwards into someone's arms,
I know.
Now you just got to get pegged.
Well, they're trying to, you know what? I was having sort of a thought the other day that it's almost like, to some degree, with a lot of things, women and men are playing like a game of chicken. Because, okay, even with like this sex stuff, girls are kind of like, we're like crazy. And then there's a lot of guys there. It's like, I guess we'll see.
Mm-hmm.
There's some dudes there like, these girls are like pretending.
Gets the Rambo knife out of the sheath. I guess like sharpening it in fucking bed.
Right.
I guess was whittling a stick. It's like, I guess we'll see.
Yeah, like those guys exist. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Where she's like, I'm into, really crazy stuff. I'm this zany sex blogger. And you go, oh, good. And then she gets home and you open up the closet. Like there's dudes who are, and I think that
the punishment chest.
Right. So I think it's even with the boyfriend stuff, like there's sort of this version of like, this is why I was saying that girls in the city are, a lot of them are doomed to be unhappy too. Cause they kind of have this idea like, I don't like need a boyfriend or whatever. Right. And a lot of them maybe, whatever, that's fine. But like, a lot of guys, way more guys are like, let's do that.
Yeah.
Like every girl I've ever been with, it's like, oh yeah, I'll be single. And like within 6 months, they're kind of like, so what are we? And you're like, I thought you didn't care.
Hey.
So yeah, a lot of girls will kind of, they try to put it out there. Like, I don't, I'm just like a single, I don't need a boyfriend. And all the guys in like any major city, you're kind of like, yeah, for sure. I'm down to just like do this forever.
Yeah, I have no biological clock. We can do this.
Yeah, right. So I think that is putting a lot of girls in.
How many times do you think there's girls who are like, yeah, I want a really crazy partner? And he's like, okay, I want to shit on you. And they're like, all right.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Yeah. So I think these girls that are saying, I was pegging him and I felt like a goddess. And the guy's like, she's like, oh, I'm into this wacky sex stuff. And a guy's like, oh, okay, I want to shove a thermos in your ass.
Yeah. While I shit on you.
Yeah, while I shit on you. Like there's some real pervs out there.
And the knife. And you go,
Yeah.
It's a lot of things at once.
I can't remember what it was, but it was like some like senator or whatever it was. But basically because of the gender neutral stuff or whatever. They're like, they legalize transition therapy for 8-year-olds or whatever the fuck it was, and they're like, this is a big win. And he was like, they're trying to cut off 8-year-olds' penises. They're just a bunch of perverts now.
Yeah, that's how he fucking
yeah. It's like what pretty
sum
funny.
that up. He goes, they're just bunch of pervs.
Yeah, it's like that's a pretty funny take. Did you see? There was this. I think I don't know if it's a band or an artist, but his name is Phineas. Phineas. Okay,
Phineas.
Phineas.
Phineas. Yeah.
Who's that?
It's Billie Eilish's brother.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, so he's like a big star too.
He's a huge star. Yeah, he won a bunch of Grammys and stuff.
So he wrote. He wrote the other day.
Like redhead dude. Oh no,
it's the guy.
that's the
Yeah,
wrestler.
his name is Phineas.
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
so he wrote on the internet. He wrote, if I hope that he goes, if BTS, the Asian band, have you seen those guys? They have like 90 members.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty.
The
Funny.
K-pop band, right?
Yeah.
And they like one of them commits suicide like every 6 months.
Really?
Or there's a lot of deaths in K-pop.
It's a tough life, man. All that
Yeah.
fucking Asian pussy. They're fucking.
All that pixelated pussy, man. It's fucking woo, my friend.
They fucking. So he goes, if BTS gets corona, the stans will find a cure. And then basically they found that he posted that. He retweeted that.
Okay.
And basically the idea was that he was saying like, because
Like
their
it's
fans are so, these guys have such hardcore fans, they'll find a cure. That's what he thought he was retweeting. So the internet exploded on him.
Basically being like, what, you think just because they're Asian?
Yeah, that's what
Yeah.
they said. You're making it.
Just because once it becomes a problem in Asia, then they'll find a cure. I mean, they do have it literally.
Yeah,
pretty much do
which
have
who
a
knows?
cure, but-
Maybe that was the joke. Maybe it wasn't. But my point was, so this guy got the full cancel treatment. You know what I mean? You're the enemy or whatever. And it was the same thing as before. We were talking about this, but he posted. He goes, I'm so sorry. I didn't know what that meant. And thank you so much for holding me accountable. I'll do better and all that stuff. But I was just like, I know a lot of people post that stuff, but it's like, it is such the epitome of the cult mentality. Imagine being, imagine any scenario where you did something and it was an accident and you think it was an accident. And you still hold the belief like, but I appreciate you guys yelling at me and ruining my life and taking my sponsors away. I deserve this. Thank you. And it's like, well, but you said it was an accident. You're like, yeah, but I shouldn't be allowed to make accidents.
Exactly. I should be punished for my accidents. It's like, I don't deserve, I'm held to a higher, essentially what he's saying is like, I should be held to a higher standard than a regular person because I make pop music, because I write pop songs. And you're like, oh, okay.
You know what Gilbert Godfrey said the other day? Or he said that
What do you say? Affleck.
he said that basically everyone what do you say? Let me get the quote right, but he basically said that the whole world's turned into your wife right now. You're just always apologizing.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
If you're famous enough.
That's
why the whole Kevin Durant thing's pretty crazy. I actually saw, like, if people don't know.
Yeah,
like,
Michael Rappaport just getting burned.
Michael Rappaport. But then I saw, like, Bleacher Report was like, Kevin Durant goes on, like, homophobic, misogynist, like, DM thing. And, like, and he didn't really say anything homophobic other than being like, you suck dick. Like, you're like, you. No, but he didn't even say
He might have been pro.
But he said, like,
dick.
figuratively suck dick. Like, oh, you suck all these fucking guys' dicks because, like, you're trying to, like,
Yeah, he's saying you
get
suck
in
up
with
to
them.
these guys.
You suck up to these guys.
Oh, it wasn't in the
But
context.
it's like, there's no context of, like, that's a homosexual thing.
No.
But maybe it's a misogynist.
No, because you could say that to a girl, being like, "Oh, you're sucking all these guys' dicks your way up Hollywood."
for sure. But then they're like, "Oh, he's home," and they're like, and then people are like, yeah, nobody cares.
Yeah, can you imagine, like the black community being like, "Oh my god,
Don't go after Michael Rappaport."
You calling Michael Rappaport gay?
Not the TV correspondent for the Big 3 League.
That's a bad day for Michael Rappaport though, because his whole deal is like, I'm like embraced by the black community.
He thinks he's like fucking Gary Owen or some shit.
Yeah, he definitely what do you call it? Transitioned into like a weird 60-year-old.
Yeah, because I guess he's like, a New Yorker, so he's got that like New York swag, and he just like never lost it, and he just wears his Yankees cap.
My friend
and I mean,
Justin,
as long as it was fucking, as long as Trump was in office, and he could just have these viral clips owning Trump.
That's what it's all that goes back to that thing where it's like those guys. He basically was the I hate Trump guy.
I think I could be wrong, but I think I heard that he was the number one guy on Cameo.
He had big cameos.
Rappaport was the number one
really
by revenue on Cameo. Yeah,
interesting.
Yeah, I think so.
Well, now he might be even more of one.
Yeah,
with the fucking heat that he's getting from this. But I thought it was funny you were saying when we were talking about because I was sort of saying the idea that some of these guys that they were their entire thing was the Trump guys, and then they transitioned out, and we were talking about like a mutual friends we have, and I was like, what's these idiots deal? And you had a funny take. You're like, I mean, I kind of see some of these guys as like victims.
Yeah, they are big. Yeah, they are victimized. Not a Rappaport, but someone who was like a real nobody entertainer. Then was like people were kind of interested in them during Trump because they were just like Trump reply guys.
It was the positioning of there's certain people that were a little bit famous or important enough that they weren't just off the radar where they could say whatever they want.
Yeah.
So they really had to kowtail to this stuff.
Yes.
But then it didn't.
Like someone,
but it's against them.
They were like in a cult. It's like they were like the Nexium girls. You're like, oh, like I feel bad for you. You got wrapped. There's like the new Obi-Wan movie or whatever, and like one of the girls in it, the new Star Wars movie, was like in Nexium. And they're like, she's a victim. They're like, oh,
yeah.
Even though you did like this fucked up shit, they're like, I mean, maybe not them, but like, they're just like, yeah, you're like this victim, and
yeah, because
you got roped up in this whole thing.
And if you're like 40 years old and you sort of have this career, like I'm not gonna throw my career away to go say what I feel like now. It just seems like not the move. Mm-hmm. So they're stuck being like, yeah, I think there should be, less men on this project. Yeah, you know what I mean? They kind of have to. Sure. Yeah, you're right. There is too many like men in film, or there is too many men in this department of my work. Yeah. And because if they can't be like the guy that says that, because there's too much stakes for them to just walk away.
For sure.
And they're but
they're
also
not set. They're not stars where they can be like. It's easy because you see a lot of like big celebrities who are like, there's too many men. And you're like, yeah, that's not affecting you. It's easy to be like, there's too many men because it's like you're still getting cast.
That's what I'm saying. They're the in between. Mm-hmm. If you're Ben Affleck and you go, we need more men, you go, he's still working.
Yeah, he's fine. Yeah, nothing.
Matt Damon could go on literally the diversity world tour.
Exactly. But if you're like the 15th on a fucking call sheet.
On a writing room.
Or a writing room, you're like, okay, you're not getting hired now. They're going to take that to heart. You're like, all you're doing is like just kind of speeding up your demise.
That's exactly what you're doing.
Yeah, but you'll feel good about it along the way.
Yeah, you're speeding up your demise. And then you're like boxed into such a corner.
But then those people also think they're like, well, if I fight for myself in this regard, then I'm a bad person. So they don't know what to do. They're like, I guess
they're just fucked.
Yeah, they're just fucked.
They're just like, I hope this passes.
Like, oh, they hope this passes. But they're like, yeah, if I try and defend myself, then I'm like, I'm the thing I hate. So it's like,
and once it passes, by the time it passes, they're already too cooked.
Oh, for sure.
Because the 4 months of that mental turmoil, I think it really broke some of these people.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah, they're not going to know how to they're going to be just hoping for scraps, and then the thing is, yeah, they're just going to have been past they'll just have been like, I don't know.
Yeah, they just became, you're just the guy in the office that when he started he had potential, and now it's 15 years later you're like, oh yeah, that guy still works here.
Yeah, that guy's still here, and it's like he's never up for a promotion ever. It's like people like him, he keeps to himself. It's like,
yeah, we don't really know much about his personal life.
Exactly, you don't know much. It's like some people are like, maybe he's gay, like something that's going around. Some
maybe he's gay. He moved into the basement for a little bit when we had the office.
Yeah. We're now just doing those.
It may be just Milton.
It's Milton.
But there was a funnier one in the comedy. So there was this Asian improv troupe that they have a show that's about improv. There's a show about improvs, right?
Is one of the words in the name of their title rice? Like, do they do some sort of pun or something?
Maybe
pun.
But they're not all Asian. But the thing was, so it's kind of complicated. But my point is that these people kind of take these complicated issues and they don't understand them, because the gist of the thing was the Asian girls in the improv troupe, And then she starts doing her like Asian mom accent. And then they go, oh, that's great. You should do more of that. So then she's now in the improv troupe. She's playing like the character of like an Asian. And then she's having like, now I feel like they're laughing at me, not with me. Do you know what I mean? And they're like,
you started it.
Yeah, you started it. But it kind of, my point is, which is I think a little bit complicated. It's, for one, it's not that there's, they want to make it as like, oh, I can do it because I have an Asian mom and that's the reason. But this is in the context of, they're looking at all that. But you're really, the truth is, it's like, yeah, self-depreciation is cringe when it's gross. And when you're making fun of someone, it's mean when it's too mean.
Yes.
So you're trying to find the balance. It's like, it just switched. And you go, yeah, they're two different comedic devices. And the truth,
you went too far.
Yeah, and the truth is when you're...
I mean, it's a device. That's the thing, too. Self-deprecation is like, that is a comedic device. Like, if you start out in comedy, you start watching people and you go, hey, like, if I'm like, kind of floundering, I can make fun of myself and get a laugh there.
Yes.
You can't just be like, all right, that's all I'm going to do now.
Right.
Because then you're like, you people see that you're taking advantage of this trick too much. It becomes like, it's not novel. And then it's like, it like becomes a gimmick. And then it's like, it's not interesting anymore or whatever. It's not funny anymore because you do it too much.
Yeah.
And that's essentially what happens. You just like, you're like, oh, I found this little gimmick. And then you just fucking put your foot on the gas and then you go the other way with it. Like,
and human interaction in general is kind of messy. Do you know what I mean? It's like you walk into someone, like, what extent do you make fun of them? Like, well, how well do you know them? Like, how well,
yeah.
it's all, there's a million things, right? And they want to kind of break it down to, well, here are the rules. If their mom's Asian, they're allowed to do this accent. And you go,
one drop rule.
It is one drop rule. But if you break it down, you go, that's why, if you look at all those rules where they go, you're allowed to do Asian accents on stage because your mom's Asian, be like, well, but why? Why would that be the case? Because if your mom has an Asian accent, but you don't have one, so you get to make fun of immigrants because you're related to one. So what if it's your adopted mom and you're white? Can you make fun of your immigrant Asian mom's accent? And you go, well, no, it's not because it's your mom. It has to be the same race and a different accent. Like,
yeah, you have to look like the person.
No, the truth is, it's like, it's a fucking scenario. You go, who are you talking to? What's the deal? How well can you make this joke where it's all those things?
I mean, obviously, anybody can anybody can.
I don't think it's that obvious to everyone.
Well, no, not. I mean, it's become less and less so for sure. And the thing is, it's always like people who are like not super funny, who are like having to put all these parameters on them and be like, oh, that's not cool. Like,
There's also something with those people where it's like, you can see the venom when they're, when people are actually mad, but they're trying to joke around.
Yeah.
I had a good theory where I was thinking a lot of the biggest problem with those people is, and I've talked about this a little before, but I have a better theory. Okay. So I think that the best way to do comedy is you almost do it more, right? So what they do is, these people are actually mad. You know what I mean? They're like, and then they try to pretend they're mad, but not that mad. They're just like, I mean, whatever, like another white man, but they're actually really mad.
Yeah.
It would be funnier if you were like, pretended if you look at like the best people, even the ones that yell and scream, they almost even pretend they're more mad. These fucking people, like, you're almost, it's kind of, if I was with my chick or whatever, right? And I was like pissed off about I got scammed on the fucking dinner or something like that. And I was actually mad about it, right? I would go, these people are fucking villain. Like, you'd act really mad.
Yeah.
You go, okay, I might say, obviously I'm not that bad, but I am pissed.
Yeah.
That's like you almost whereas they would kind of be like, I mean, whatever. It's just kind of these restaurant
Yeah,
people.
they're like passive aggressive.
Yeah, it's passive aggressive.
Yeah. Also, the thing with the accents is like, they're like also mad. If someone's being like successful, like say they're not successful and they're Asian, and there's like a white comedian who is successful doing an Asian accent, they're like, he's taking my success.
He's taking my thing.
That's mine.
There's only
even though
a certain amount of laughs that can come.
But it's like, he's like that. The money he makes, like he makes X amount of dollars. 5% of his act is doing Asian accent, that money's mine. Like that's how they think though. They're like, he's taking that from me, and you're like, no, that would have never been yours.
Yeah.
That was never on the table for you. But that's just like the feeling of how they like kind of think about it. It's like he's taking, like I could be the Asian. I'm Asian. Like
there's a pool of Jewish jokes.
That's my right to be an Asian accent person. Like I'm Asian, and then this guy who's white, it's like he's taking that from me.
Would you feel like that if you saw someone getting famous, like, you know, doing Jewish jokes and being like, this motherfucker? Like,
yeah, I'd be like, that. I go, give me my commission.
you know what? By the way, I watched just this clip went viral recently, like an old one of Trump on Fallon. Donald Trump on Jimmy Fallon, or no, on Conan. And he's talking trash about Rosie O'Donnell.
Yeah.
And I was just like, man, that guy has insane comedic instincts.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I think you were telling me about that.
Yeah, I think I might have told you about it in the car. So basically what happens is he comes out and then he goes, Conan goes, so what's going on with this feud with Rosie O'Donnell? And he goes, you told me you weren't going to ask about that.
Oh,
And then the producer, he's like, no, I go, when? He goes, in backstage. He goes, look, your producer's right there. Where's that? And it's very like, the comedic instinct is to call out everything as it's going. And it was very like, that's exactly the perfect way to have handled that. He goes, listen, I'll answer your question, but let's just be clear on what happened.
Right.
So he's just dominating that like scenario. And then they go, you know, I went on the other thing. I go, they asked me about Rosie O'Donnell for 50 minutes. And then I come off and they go, why does this guy keep talking about Rosie O'Donnell? I go, you guys keep bringing it up. I mean, whatever. And he goes, do you think would you ever be friends? I go, I don't think she's capable of being happy or something like that. And it was, you know, it was kind of before everyone hated him. So probably everyone was like, yo, Trump's the man before he got into politics.
Yeah.
But it was funny to watch. And it was kind of, I go, man, reiterated the comic instincts on that.
Yeah,
dude.
oh, yeah. I wonder if he's gonna come back like a kinked up garden hose of jokes, just like fucking, like if he's gonna have like an hour on Biden when he comes back.
Apparently so I saw this one article that
like if he's been writing every night, like he watches fucking, like he watches the news and he goes, not gonna forget that, Sleepy Joe.
yeah.
You know,
he does the thing that you write it when you're sleeping, you wake up and he goes, oh, I gotta fucking write this down or I'm gonna forget it.
Right, yeah.
And then he looks at his paper in the morning.
It just
and
says
like,
Sleepy Joe underlined 3 times. He goes, what was that? Sleepy, I know. What was that? All right.
He did there was someone getting married and he was invited to the wedding.
No, I saw that he dropped it. I didn't watch it though.
Yeah, so he dropped in at someone's wedding. And then did like an hour-long speech about Biden, how he's a cuck and stuff.
Yeah, that's amazing. It's amazing he just has an hour in him, though.
He has multiple hours. I think he's
but
off the
just
dome.
off the cuff. Yeah, no, that's off the cuff. Like I'm sure some of his campaigns and stuff were like, those were prepared. This is not prepared. He's like just chilling at Mar-a-Lago, his resort. They go, oh,
Yeah.
there's a wedding over there. And he goes, oh, you know, I'll fucking make their day. We'll drop in. And like,
Yeah, it better be the right people or you're not going to make
I
their
don't
day.
think there's no fucking being like libs being
That's
like.
being like,
yeah,
Mar-a-Lago is the only place.
Yeah, man, you goes, you have to get married to Mar-a-Lago. Fucking hate you hate Trump. You go, I'm gonna be so pissed if he drops in on the wedding.
Yeah, you couldn't be pumped if he's
former president dropping in.
That is so very true. If you're getting married at Mar-a-Lago, you're probably for the cause.
Yeah, you're.
So yeah, he dropped in and just does an hour. But it's funny. It's like, you know, he doesn't even know the groom and bride. He picks up the mic and he's just like, these fucking libtards. Joe Biden's old and he can't even walk. But that's the thing we were saying before, because I got asked to do, you know, some of these like Fox News places are, you know, because Tucker Carlson essentially does like a fucking comedy monologue. He has 9 writers that are all comedians or whatever. And people are asking me and my friends, because if you're some of these other places like late night, they don't want, you know, some of these troublemaker comedians and
They literally do all their casting in like a Planned Parenthood fucking waiting room. They go, hey, are you getting an abortion? You know how to write a joke?
You want to write for Kimmel?
You get an abortion? First one? Second? Come on.
Hey, you know how to work a typewriter? Well, these people at these places they're kind of looking at Tucker Carlson and he's doing his late night monologue, and every late night host is like, wait, you can do that?
Yeah.
You just hired 10 comedians to write a bunch of jokes for you?
Yeah.
I think soon you're going to be seeing Sean Spicer essentially being like, you know, word of the day.
Yeah, word of the day.
They're going to be doing, whatever the Leno thing was.
Oh yeah, the typos.
Yeah. Actually, Janet said this. Do you want to hear a funny? I don't think I told you this. So I thought it was probably one of the best synopsises ever. But so Tucker Carlson is constantly an appalled dad.
Yeah.
And Stephen Colbert is like an appalled mom.
Kind of, yeah.
Isn't that accurate?
Kind of. Stephen Colbert has very appalled mom vibes right now.
Yeah. Like, think
Crazy
about
too, he was so good on Colbert Report too.
I know he's good on a lot of things, but imagine this: like they were a parent, and the kid got kicked out of school. The dad would kind of be like, "What did you do?" You know, like, and then the kid's like, "I threw a stapler at the wall," and he's very appalled that the kid could do that. And then Stephen Colbert would kind of be like, "I can't believe this school." Like the mom, she'd be like, "The school's kicking you out." Like, you're the victim here.
Yeah.
He'd be the mom.
That's pretty fucking accurate.
Stephen
I haven't watched Stephen
pretty
Colbert.
good, right?
I can't say I've watched Stephen Colbert in like a long. I don't know. Last time I've seen it was Colbert. It's like hard to watch. It's like it is.
I'm not watching Colbert.
No, but even like to just be like, what's going on in Colbert, just to freshen up, and then it's like difficult to watch.
It is difficult to watch, and the clips that he posts, even if you watch clips, because sometimes you'd be like, "Oh, what's he up to?" And you turn it on, it's like, and another thing.
Yeah, like, he's orange. She's like, he's been in office for 3 months.
Yeah.
Like,
And they think that this democracy
Yeah.
is, he's very.
that's the
wrapped
one
up.
thing too with the kids in cages stuff that's going on right now. And I go like, because I was very much when Trump was in office, I was like, none of this, like the president doesn't matter. And then like, it's just all the same shit. And then, people will be like, oh, really? The president doesn't matter? And then now with the kids in cages thing, I'm like, yeah, the president really does not matter. Like, this
Yeah.
is like, I've never been more certain of that the president doesn't matter.
I was kind of even thinking about that for, we're making this movie and all the sketches and everything. It's like, what an advantage you're at if you don't give a shit who's president.
Oh,
if that just that simple. If you don't care, if literally it's not going to really make your day one way or the other, you're starting the race at a fucking mile ahead.
Oh yeah, the only way it would make my day for a president is if it was like The Rock. I'd be like,
Yeah.
that's fucking sick.
But
or like
the Rock could be just like the biggest cock, and then it's like,
he would, but it would be cool for a bit. But it wouldn't even make my day. I don't even. Yeah, like it wouldn't. Nobody could be president that would make. No, who would be president? The only scenario would be like legit. Would be like Chris Rock, or like if it's like Chappelle in some sort of like crazy thing.
American people,
And then you're
American
like,
people.
dude. It's like if you were pumped to watch fucking like Trump's, like if you were like, oh, Trump's about to do a thing, it's gonna say some crazy shit. Like imagine if it was like Chappelle having to do his fucking like press room or whatever. Like I don't know.
Imagine if Dave Chappelle was the president.
I was saying that, and I was like, it's literally a sketch where he's the president. It was a pretty funny sketch.
Okay, so this was probably the craziest one that I saw going around, and it's stepmom justifies exposing breast to kids because she's a feminist, and she got charged with a sex crime. So
One for the boys.
yeah, one for the boys. That would be.
They saw a titty, and she's a sex criminal.
Yeah, they get rid of her, and they got to see the titties. So
You think it was a bad titty though?
she was arrested in. Hell yeah. It's not a hot feminist. This isn't like Mila Kunis.
Yeah. It's like a fucking, like where she had to like take it out with both hands, one tit. She had to remove the single tit. Flubumph.
Buchanan was arrested in February after prosecutors said she exposed her breasts to her stepchildren several years ago while hanging drywall in her garage with her husband. So you look over, they're just, I don't know why the kids are there, but you basically look over, they're drywalling, and you look one way, you look over.
But it wasn't one of those things where she's reaching up and not wearing a bra, like that.
Yeah.
Move, and then they just hang it down to here. So
Yeah, she's still got the shirt
Remember
on.
in South Park? Miss Chokes on Dick?
She's Miss Chokes on Dick. According to her, she said her and her husband both stripped down in order to not get their clothes dirty.
Oldest excuse in the book.
That is one of those things, though, when you're like when I always say these people are making the kids are so fucked or whatever. But basically Marcus, you know what I mean, from the feminist mom sketch. But you look over and your parents are like, okay, come in. We're doing a family like drywall session or whatever. And you're like, can I just go hang out with my friends? No, you got it. We're doing the drywall. And
Get
blah,
your
blah.
clothes off.
Yeah.
Down your
And then you
undies.
look over, your fucking dad and your stepmom are painting naked, and you go, what is my life?
Yeah, this is fucking
You're like, this is not.
getting so.
Although, if the mom wasn't gross, and then you find out that your boy has got like a fucking decent mom that just pulls the guns out, that'd be the most popular kid in the school.
Go, hey, all my friends at school want to help. We could probably get this whole house drywalled in a fucking afternoon if you guys want.
Drywalling in the garage. Hey, Mrs. T, that we can drywall. You come home, your friends are helping your mom drywall.
Yeah, I can frame the house if you want, whatever you want.
She said when Buchanan's stepchildren asked why she'd taken off her shirt and bra, she explained that everyone should feel comfortable walking around topless in the privacy of their own homes with other people's kids, though.
Nightmare mom scenario right there. I mean, first off, if your mom is hot, it's like even worse. You're like, there's all this, like, you're like, okay, so I want to bang my stepmom, like.
Well, if it was your stepmom and she was hot and you were like 12, I think you'd a little bit be like, nice,
yeah. I guess, right. I've never had a stepmom. I don't know that.
But
dynamic.
if you're the kid, but
yeah, of course.
Again, but if you're the real mom, you're just like, what the fuck?
Yeah. Oh yeah. If you're the real mom, you're like, what the fuck?
Yeah. Every time
and if you're that drywall,
if
like what is going on in here?
So, yeah, she says, in the privacy of your own home. You know, it's one of those things too, where it's like the women with, we should be able to, let's push laws that we should be able to have our, tits out and all that stuff. And you go, okay. The problem is with all this stuff, and some of it's probably the arguments against the trans bathrooms or whatever, but it's like, women are just so fucking naive sometimes where you're like, yeah, I understand that you're saying step parents should be allowed to be naked in front of kids. But let me tell you, it's like, and you're right. Maybe the biggest threat isn't a pair of titties, but if we make a law that step parents can now get naked in front of their kids, it's gonna be about 15 days.
See, I find that hard that it's a tit. She got charged with a sex crime for showing her tits, not vagines.
Well, maybe the vagina was out too.
It had to be the vagina because it's like I don't think a tit is getting you fucking locked up in the clinic.
Can you imagine you went home and you're drywalling your stepdad had his dick out?
Yeah,
well, they said they both got naked.
Fully naked. I understand that, but it's like So what?
Well, she got charged, so it is illegal. So this did get charged, but the idea of like I have a stepdad. If I went into his garage and he was like, hey, you mind passing me that brush there?
You think he just has the fucking the belt on, but just naked, totally naked, like the Seinfeld?
He's got the belt and a hard hat.
Yeah, just
the hard hat with some beers in it.
Tool belt, and totally naked.
Just a mow dry in the hand. Yeah, and you go, but that's what I'm saying with people taking advantage of it. It's like just like I could picture like so many girls I know being like, what's the problem? And you go, okay, I hate having to be the fucking one that's like, it's a slippery slope, but you go, if you make a law that step parents can get naked, and then they're like, well, also, why can't your aunt why can't the aunt have her tits out? And you go, okay, sure, but the aunt probably isn't going to be the one of the aunts and uncles. Like, you're like, yeah, let's make a law that uncles can be naked in front of their daughter, in front of their niece and nephew. If they make a law where you go, you're allowed to fucking pull them out in front of your niece, what's the big deal?
Yeah.
But it's the same kind of thing. I mean, that's probably less weird if you lived in a family. Like, if you were like swimming or something, it's almost less weird to see an uncle or aunt maybe naked than it is to see a non-blood relative. Mm-hmm. So, yeah. I mean, but again, they're both weird, but I can see.
Yeah, it must be the bottomless thing, though.
In September, a feminist group won its legal battle to get the local city council to remove language from public nudity code, barring girls and women over the age of 10 from going topless in Fort Collins, Colorado. So, a win for feminists that 11-year-old chicks can have their tits out in the town square. There was another feminist mom that was basically Marcus, and this one says, mom convinces teen son to carry tampons in case his female friends have an emergency.
The kid's going to fucking get tons of pussy. Or none ever.
Well, that was one of those things where...
But it's like, what's the emergency? It's like where it's the actual like, oh, you have a blood... Or is it... Because that's the thing. If you're like young, no girl's ever like going to like just yelling out, does anyone have a tampon? Like they're embarrassed by it. So
but it's
like,
the mom patting herself on the back being
right.
like, all these chauvinist men running around, but this is what guess what my son.
And he's
did.
like, Mom, can I get some condoms too? She's like, no, just tampons.
Can you imagine, like, you're in high school,
human tampon dispenser.
I'd kill if your friend. You look in his locker and he's just got like tampons.
Dude, literally, if they're
out.
tampons, you got to be like, if you want to try, like, appease your mom and be cool at school, then you're like, oh no, this is for vodka. I fucking dip in vodka, stick them up my ass. Just like the boys getting.
Oh no, these are for the dogs.
These are for the dogs. These are tampons for the girls. I mean, if the girl wanted one, she could have one, but these are for the dogs.
Yeah, that is the ultimate of like, if your mom's like, and you should bring tampons for girls. And you're like, Mom, I know you're going through this like feminist thing right now, but I assure you this is not the move. I'm telling you, I have to go to that high school. You don't. You're 50 and you're going through this wacky shit. You're probably on some Facebook group where a bunch of you mothers are patting yourselves on the back for women. But it's like...
Yeah, for getting rid of the tax on fucking tampons.
I assure you that if I go to school with a box of tampons that I hand out to women in case they start bleeding, I assure you that will not make my life easy.
No.
Unfortunately, Elijah was mocked a bit by some of his male classmates. But some of the others thought it was...
I love how this is like in the news. He was mocked a bit.
He was mocked a little bit, but some of the others thought it was cool. So apparently some of the kids at school were like, yo,
some of the other, yeah.
Yo, honestly, respect, bro.
Respect, bro.
That's cool. These people don't know. And then she said, my teenage boys helped me shop today, which included buying their little sister's first bra because breasts happen. So this mom's really giving herself like a pat on the back sort of situation.
Oh, I mean, what else? She has to do the pat on the back. This is like just part of why she's doing this.
Yeah, these people are. I know what I should probably mention too, is the Frank D'Angelo thing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So, did you watch the movie yet?
No, I didn't watch it, but I will.
You can't. So
did you rent it?
I'll buy it for any amount. You tell me what.
But did you?
Tell me when to stop paying.
Yeah. No,
did I rent it?
Yeah, or was it just on Amazon?
Yeah, I bought it on Amazon. But it's on the Amazon Prime where anyone can put their movie on Amazon Prime.
Yeah. I know that.
Like you see a lot of people like promoting, I got this movie on.
Yeah, you go, oh, I'm now on Amazon Prime, and you're like, yeah.
How'd you get that? It's like I signed a form.
Yeah, I signed a form and just uploaded my fucking MP4.
So yeah, I did a whole review of the movie. I told Danny to watch it, but he doesn't want to because he's like too cool for watching bad things. Yeah. Ironically.
No.
You're too cool for
I'm
irony.
the OG Frank D'Angelo. I've been more obsessed with Frank D'Angelo than anybody. I used to get home
stealing my shtick right now.
Are you kidding? I used to get home from fucking stand-up on like Friday nights, and I would watch live episodes of Being Frank on CHCH in Canada. I would literally flip it to CHCH Channel 10 and watch.
They're incredible.
It's amazing. It was one of the best. It was like, I would sometimes, I'm not even exaggerating, finish a set, and people would be like, be like, I gotta get home just to watch.
Get out of here.
Yeah, because I would like.
So how have you not watched the movie then? If you're such a D'Angelo head, if you say
I'm not, dude. He has 45 movies. I can't see them all.
You can't. You're still
working my.
I watch them all 3 times too. So I got to watch Sicilian Vampire one more time before I even think about it.
I want to watch The Joke Thief. It's
Getting to The Last Big Save.
Yeah.
Well.
I feel like I watched The Last Big Save just by you explaining it to me. I was like, in my mind, I've seen
45 minutes of real-time hockey play, men's league. So, and my dad, I got him, and my dad's into this too. He likes it. And then my brother, I told you, so I got my brother to watch it, and he messaged me being like, how the fuck am I supposed to watch this? He messaged me, how the fuck am I supposed to watch this? I go, sick, right? And he's like, no. Like he's not.
Yeah, he's not into that.
But, so my dad, and I've been talking to him about Frank D'Angelo a little bit, and he says this to me the other day. He goes, I played hockey with him. I go, excuse me? I go, are you kidding me? Why wouldn't you ever bring this up?
Yeah.
He goes, yeah, I used to play. So he tells me when he was like 30, so this is when Frank D'Angelo was just the apple juice guy.
Yeah.
He used to play hockey with Frank D'Angelo, and Frank D'Angelo is a goalie, and he's the worst goalie ever. And he says Frank D'Angelo would pay people to be on his team. So every team was like decent level, like men's league hockey. And every game would be like 2, 2, 3, 3, 4, like whatever normal hockey scores. But he sucked so bad. But then he would pay like junior hockey players like $200 a game to come play on his team. So he said every game would be like 10-9. So he said he would look at the scores and you go be 2, 3, 3, 4, 10-9, 11-12, because their team was so much better, so they'd score 12 goals. But if you got 12 shots, you'd get 12 goals too.
Was so bad.
I go, what are you kidding? Why would you keep this from me?
I would love to just be in a room with Frank D'Angelo while someone told that story. Go, hey, yeah, you're the fucking men's league guy. Like, and he has to be like, I don't know what you're talking about. Like,
yeah, so he's literally playing men's league. You know the level of crazy you have to fucking be to pay money to rig a men's league game.
That's pretty next level. Just like a.
It's like cheating at solitaire type of thing.
Yeah,
you
like
know what I mean?
a Wednesday night, and you're fucking calling agents up, being like, who do you got available? Like,
that's what it's cheating at things when no one cares. And
nobody cares.
And everyone It's like you don't even get to brag. You're like, we killed you, and you're like, you let in 9 out of 10 shots.
Yeah, you had Brent Gretzky on your team. Like, we all know who that is.
Crazy. Tell them about the snowblower thing.
This is so good. So this comedian who I know who lives in Finland messaged me. We talk like here and there or whatever. He's like he's kind of like the Finnish Jerry Seinfeld's opener. I thought you guys people can be the Finnish Jerry Seinfeld. No, he's his opener, but he's a good guy. So anyway, he sent me this thing. It was like this official bulletin from I think it's called like Tukka or something. It's like the 3rd largest city in Finland, and they're doing this like feminist snow plowing initiative where basically they're like snow plowing is like unfair essentially to women because women are like because they plow the highways first because that's just the logical thing to do.
Yeah.
Right. Because they're like, larger arteries, and then they do like the side streets next, and then but it's like more women, so it's like buses are like I guess more impacted, and then like women slip more and stuff, and then women have to do like daycare, so like it's having all these like knock-on effects or whatever. So they're trying to do this like he was like laughing.
So they're saying it's sexist because they plow the streets the least that women slip on because
men
they're
are
worse
more
at
likely to
slipping.
drive on the highway. And women are more likely to have to
slip.
walk and like take the subway or whatever, the trams. So
and they slip more because they wear like high heels.
I guess they don't say that specifically, but they do say that women slip more and fall because of the weather. So then they're like they need a more feminist, like centered, like snow removal strategy. And so and he's also like the whole government in Finland is like super feminist. Either like the prime minister is like a woman or whatever.
Yeah, it's very much a girl country.
Super girl country. So they're all into this bullshit. So he's like, yeah. So like, I guess they're like trying to do this now in like the 3rd largest city. But he's like, they did this in Sweden in 2015, and it was like a disaster. He's like, they did this exact same thing where they were like saying this exact same points, how like the snow plowing snow removal was like, didn't consider women, and it was just like more of like.
Yeah, and then everyone was like, what happened? So they like crash on the highway and shit?
Yeah, there's people were getting stuck on the highways and like all this nonsense, and he's like they did this, it failed. It's like
pileups on the highway.
It's like it didn't make sense in another Scandinavian country recently.
It's so fucking funny.
I know, and then they're like they just have to do this fucking feminist. I mean,
incredible,
good shit.
And the last quick thing is we talked about this a little bit last week. The idea that, a lot of the people, like a lot of conservatives are sort of getting like a taste of, telling people what to do. And they're liking that taste.
Yeah.
With the, the Candace Owens and all that. But I kind of felt like it was interesting with the Lil Nas X thing because all these things are kind of like, so this guy released his shoe. And it was like, okay, this is the devil's blood or whatever. Yeah. I feel like a lot of people are having trouble like how to navigate this.
And basically what he did is he just bought this shoe, modified it.
Yeah, he put some,
But he's just modifying a shoe that you can buy.
Exactly. He made a thing. But I guess it was kind of messing with religion. And people really did blow up on it, you know? And I guess that's what you want. He's like, I'll do this thing. And I'll
like they weren't going to buy it ever anyways. It was like the thing with the Kaepernick where all these people are like burning their fucking Nikes and like.
Right.
And they're like, and those people just wear Nikes now. Like,
and it's a big publicity thing. And I don't even know what happened. Maybe he retracted or whatever, but it was kind of like, in my mind, a little bit, we talk about this on stage, like making fun of, Christian, like, it was feeling very, for a while you go, it better be a really good joke because you can't just be like priests are raping. Like, it's got to be you got to be a really good version of that joke because there's no punch.
No.
Where certain topics, the fact that you even tackled them has a lot of punch.
It's not forbidden where people are like, oh, I can't believe he's
not
talking
at all
about this. Yeah.
But then I would have thought, I would go, you put some shit like that out, no one would care. And it feels like a lot of people really cared. And I've sort of had the same experience where I like did something about religion and recently, and that was one of the most things that I got people fired up about again. And people, so it's almost like now everyone's just mad. It's like it used to be, it kind of was going away that, you know, no one cared about this bullshit, but then it was going away that you could kind of make fun of all that stuff. And now it's like, everything's just off.
Oh yeah. It's just like, you know,
there's nothing that doesn't get people fired up. You're either getting called a cuck or a fucking Nazi.
As long as you're willing to go out on the edge.
Yeah.
As long as you're on the edge. And the middle stuff is like, you kind of just go unnoticed. You can do your thing if you want to just exist in the middle. But if you want to try and be edgy in any way, I guess. I don't.
And it's not even, I don't even know
edgy.
See, I don't like the idea of trying to be edgy. And because it's not that you're trying to be edgy. It's that you're trying to like tackle taboo subjects.
Yeah, which he wasn't. He was like, no. The fact is, he's a smart guy.
No, that was the old fashioned, you know, I'll do this thing and it'll, you know, get all these people worked up and who cares? And it'll sell a lot of things. Which I guess it was always, there is something to be like, okay, Christians are mad at him. It's not the same punch as being called racist.
No.
Like if you're like a white celebrity and the internet's calling you racist.
Oh yeah, that's
that's the worst.
Yeah, that's like an existential crisis almost.
It's a real crisis.
For him, he's like, yeah, I'm gay. I don't like fucking. He's just like, yeah, I'm gay and whatever.
But so yeah, you're right.
It's funny to him.
So their madness doesn't have as much effect.
Yeah.
But it was as much madness.
Do you think because this is the modern version of this is like church moms are like, where's your fucking file of Old Town Road? I'm deleting it. You can't break the CDs anymore.
No, they're doing the opposite.
You have to delete the file.
Yeah. Because you can see it all changes so quick, but I could see why people would like roll their eyes at it because you go, okay. The same way that I would see, okay, imagine some feminist mom did like, I'm making a new shoe and it has a vial of like squirt juice in it or something. Yeah, it's like, oh, I'm sorry. Yeah. Is that a problem? And you go, okay. No. But then a lot
of people take the bait.
If everyone, you hit the nail on the head.
It's taking the bait.
It's taking the bait.
And I honestly credit to Lil Nas X because I think he knew that would happen. Or he was at least hoped for that.
They take the bait.
They take the bait because they can.
I probably take the bait sometimes.
Yeah,
too.
Everybody does. But
we all take the bait.
We all take the bait. But you do have to. And sometimes I've said this before with you, where we talk about something. I was like, who cares? Like sometimes there are things where you seem like they're being like done only for the sole purpose of just like riling people up on one side or another.
Yeah, and it drives me nuts that because you'll see these things. That's a perfect to go back to our Cardi B. I know we never really like cracked it, but that's what it is they're doing this so you get and then you get mad. It's like this thing just the whole world now is people just doing stuff and every no matter what, everyone getting mad.
And if there's a certain critical mass of people getting mad, then it gets amplified where regular people find out about it. Because like how many shoes was it?
What?
How many shoes was it? 1,000 or something?
I didn't really follow the future because I saw a few different things. Some of it was like he retracted it, and some of it was like it was never really a shoe ever.
My point is that it's like I think it was for sale, but it's like or maybe a pre-sale, but like it's probably like a limited run. So like, he's famous enough; he can sell out a limited run.
It was almost like a goof for fucking Instagram.
But he could easily just sell out a limited run of shoes to his fans, and like you never hear about it unless all these people start making us think about it. Like it's like he sold 2,000 pairs of shoes, and you're like. It's not worthy of hearing about that. The Lil Nas X sold 2,000 pairs of shoes.
No, you're right. We shouldn't care or know.
We shouldn't even know about it.
I shouldn't know about this.
It's just then Fox News and like probably all these like conservative sites were like, can you believe this? It said 666 on the side of the shoes. And you're like, okay.
Yeah. And to go back to our conversation, fine, be that person.
Yeah.
But then don't fucking, like when I went to that conference, and then they go, what do you think about how you can't joke about anything anymore? I go, okay, but you don't get to post the Lil Nas X.
Exactly. Getting the nerve of.
Yeah, either fucking one or the other, buddy.
Yeah, exactly. And you're like, and again, it's like you don't even care about the shoes. You just like being upset. You just like being mad. Like, it's like there is this, like, they just like being mad about stuff. It's like, you're not losing. Like, this wasn't a shot across the bow in the culture war that you fucking Lil Nas X made these shoes. Like,
yeah.
You know, it's not like, oh, like there's going to be 50 less Christian people now and we're losing members of our ranks. It's like,
it all is the joke, and we're going to do this in the movie, but it is that you're triggered, you're freaking triggered, you're a snowflake, you're a snowflake.
Yeah, like exactly.
You're fucking triggered, and then you're like, you're both triggered.
Yeah, you're both triggered, exactly. It's like
but liberals, like, yes, we're more triggered, and you're giving them a good fucking run for their money again.
Yeah.
And also, happy Passover.
Thank you. We were slaves.
You were telling me
on behalf of the slave community.
That's we were saying that the idea of like a black guy talking about slavery, and Danny goes, "I agree, it was bad because we were slaves for a lot longer, and for
and we were kind of we were
before
you
first and for a lot longer.
Yeah, we were slaves for 100. I don't know.
I actually do recall
how many years actually Jews were meant to be slaves for. Probably a while though. Probably a hot minute.
Well, we were with Joe because he's in Miami, and he's the guy that. He's the booker for the Stand, and we had lunch with him, and his family's the full deal.
Oh yeah, they're like
so they do the thing
Orthodox
where I do jokes about Jewish loopholes, which I'm going to try to do something about this, but he essentially you're not allowed to have bread in your house. So they started where you sell your bread for someone, then buy it back.
No. I was telling you, this is one of my favorite things ever.
You're not gonna let me fuck this up.
No. It started where, because you're not allowed to have bread in your house. So it started where, like, because like it says in like the whatever, like Torah, where like you have to get all the bread out of your house, and you have to go like you hunt for it, and you find every crumb.
You hunt for the
and
bread,
it was literally like you throw
you're
it
on
out.
your hands and knees hunting for breadcrumbs.
Crumbs, not even exaggerating. Like you're like you have to throw it all out.
Yeah,
like that's like all your beer, like anything that has like yeast or like leavening or whatever, you throw it out. And then Jews were like, this is crazy, because it's 8-day holiday, right?
The money
or 7 days. So they're like, we're not throwing it, and then you have to go rebuy it all at the end of it.
Throwing up this much money's worth of bread.
And it's just, even if it's not the money, you're like, what? So we have to go like shop, like, because
not the money, this guy says. On a completely, so we're gonna throw out $500 worth of bread. On a completely unmonetarily related point.
On an unmonetary.
I think this just might be an inconvenience.
Yeah, just throwing out a pallet of bread. No, it's usually, the thing is, it's usually, well, you know what it actually is? It's normally expensive because it's like liquor is like when you're like, okay, yeah, this is getting costly if we're just dumping all this liquor down the fucking.
That's correct.
Or whatever and all this stuff. But so, yeah, and then someone figured out a loophole where they go, oh, this is what you do is you just put it in like a drawer, like a closet or a box, and then you go to your non-Jewish neighbor, you sell them all of your fucking, like, so you own all of my bread and all this stuff. Your neighbor has to give you $1 because Jews are like, yeah, you like, like number one thing in contract law is you have to receive consideration, right? So you have to receive the $1. If you don't,
how you go to heaven.
If you don't get the $1, then you're like, you own that bread, and that's your problem still. So then you have to have, and a week before Passover, especially, you have to go to your neighbor and be like, hey, I need you to buy this bread.
Well, that's the thing. He was saying moving in, like, one thing if you're moving in beside an Orthodox Jew, like, understand.
They're going to have a few things that they're
gonna
bugging
make
you with.
Come over to their house and turn their lights on and shit.
Turn their lights on in their stove or like buy their fucking shit. And
they're going to make them buy their bread. But if that's the thing I was saying is like, your neighbor sells you all this bread for $1 and then they go to buy it back and you go, what you didn't realize is I'm also Jewish.
Yeah.
And I put that bread on Amazon.
I don't know. I can't sell you a fucking.
I sold you that bread.
I can't sell you 24 fucking Stellas back for $1. That seems a little on the low side. I don't know.
Yeah, they sell it to you for $1. They're like, sell the bread. Okay, we'll sell it back for $1. $1. It's 24 Stellas.
$35.
$35. $1. What do you need $4 for? You want to buy my bread for $1? No. I'll buy my bread for $1. Why do you want to buy my bread for $8? You go the reverse. So yeah,
that would be funny though if you come back after Passover. You go, I'm just hankering for some bread. Here's that $1 back. You go, price has changed.
So yeah, that's what we were saying, that they commoditized it. That bread's trading on the fucking NASDAQ.
They securitize all the bread.
We securitize your bread, pal.
Yeah, it's fucking you selling options.
Okay, so better than that is now these sites.
Yeah, there's a site.
So
this is really
this is so fucking
But this
funny.
is the thing that makes
this
no
is the
sense.
equivalent of saying that like the Christians are like, you have to go to church once a week and then you can turn a room into your house to a room called church. So as long as you stepped in that room, you technically went to church because you have a church in your house.
Fuck, what is the word for this? I'm sure your listeners know this, but it's in the Catholic Church. They used to back in the day. They used to sell like. instead
Body of Christ?
No. It's so because like you had to like do all these like, you know, Hail Marys or whatever, like to get into heaven. And then people were sinning and they were literally selling vouchers to like relieve you of your sins. But they were actually, no, this is a real thing. Fuck. People are probably listening to this being like, vouchers for Catholics.
Well, well, in the Jewish one, so basically what happened was, because they were like, well, all this neighbor business is getting business. So then other Jews started a business where you can sell your thing to this site for $1, but they charge you $5.
Indulgence, that's what it's called.
It's an indulgence.
Yeah, an indulgence. So you could buy an indulgence, literally like an indulgence. You could be like, I'm gonna sin, and you buy a voucher from the Catholic Church to sin.
Right, and you go home and you murder a guy.
You go do the sin, and you go, luckily I bought this indulgence, and it balances out. But it's like the Catholic Church.
What's
is
a
like,
sin? Like if you're gonna cheat on your wife,
whatever. No,
basically the priest wants a taste if you're gonna do some bad shit.
Basically, but that's what happened is because people were like sinning so much that they're like, we need to offset the books. But so this is like pre, like, you know, whatever. This is a long time ago, like hundreds and hundreds of years ago. That's when like the Martin Luther, like Lutheranism started, because he's like, this is bullshit. Like, what do we just? He's like, wait, so we can just sin all we want and we just pay some money to not do it?
And then the guy who's getting the money's like, shut up.
I learned this on the hardcore
racket.
history, Dan Carlin, about the Lutheranism.
Okay.
He talked about, but it was like, yeah, and he's like, yeah, this is fucking bullshit. He's like, this is not what we're supposed to be doing. We're just
This
sin.
can't possibly
Yeah, he's
be
like,
what
we
that-
just sin all we want, and then we just pay the Catholic Church some money for it.
Well, yeah. So Joe, he now, instead of finding the neighbor, they go to a website that's like a bread buying website.
But then you pay them. That's
but you pay them for them to buy it off you.
Yeah.
And you go, at some point you go, this can't possibly be
so crazy.
It can't possibly be intended for, it's like, so you take all your bread, you put it in a thing,
Also,
then
you're
you go to this website, and then you pay a guy to give you $1, and he owns your bread. Then you get your
Pay
money.
him $5.
Like someone's got.
But also, like, this is all being done to outsmart.
Look at us religious guys here.
But you're doing this to outsmart
Your
God.
own religion that
God. Like, you're literally outsmarting. It's not like a book, like some vague book. God wrote this book.
Yeah, you're doing this to be like,
God. Yeah.
But I think that they think like God's because their rabbis are probably in on their operation too. So they think God's going to be like, nice work, dude.
Yeah. Well, you know what it is like Jews complain, obviously. And so probably like for 5,000 years or whatever, 500 years, Jews were like, we're not really selling throwing out all their bread. And God goes, or like rabbis like, you know, this is how it's written. And then eventually they just wore the rabbis.
One hip rabbi.
It's because Jews are all about like.
They wore them out.
Yeah. And like.
They wore out.
And it's all about like the precedent, right? It's just like modern. It's just like
law precedent.
Yeah, it's the Western legal.
Holy shit.
So it's like then this one rabbi like set the precedent and goes, look, you can sell it to your neighbor. And then everyone's like, all right, done. And like, we're selling it to our neighbor.
They were like, what if we don't actually sell it to our neighbor? And then one rabbi who was like really old was like, whatever.
Because the thing is, I know Jews who are like, they pack up all their bread and they bring it to, like, it stays at the neighbor's house.
They do the whole thing.
It stays at the neighbor's house. And then they were like, well, you know what? Why are we bringing this over?
What are we doing?
Let's just, you know what? It'll stay in my basement. You own that square of my basement for a week. And I'm sure he was like, okay, but we got to draw this up on paper. And then they're like, a handshake's fine.
A handshake's fine.
And then it's like, an IOU for the $1's fine. And it's like, and then they're just eating a fucking like a Big Mac later that night, and they're like,
I love it.
It's so funny.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Anyways, happy Passover.
Thank you.
Okay, this has been the Boyscast. Ryan Long at Ryan Long Comedy, Danny Jokes at Danny Jokes on all platforms. Punching Down Podcast. Cool video coming out next week that we filmed in the office here. And thank you for listening. Tell a friend and post a screenshot on Instagram and Twitter and stuff if you like it, and leave a review. I feel like I don't ask for that stuff that much, but do that. And we're making big changes coming in the next few months. I'm getting a studio in New York. Lots of cool shit coming up. So tell a friend and do all that stuff if you like the podcast. All right. Thank you. Peace.
Peace.